He crossed the country on his bicycle. He saw hills and places, racists and kind faces. Some paid him no attention or consideration. Some asked him in. He shared with them his songs of love and melancholy. They offered him something sweet to drink. The whistle of the gears on asphalt roads. More cars than animals he saw, some flattened on the pavement, decaying, slowly baking in the sun. Weary traveler, can your eyes take it all in? You learn more and more as the wheels of your bicycle spin. Across Arizona and New Mexico, heat like murder on his back and sweat evaporating instantly to vapor underneath the naked sun. The Pueblo took him in, laid him on a woven mattress. They offered him something sweet to drink. Back to the shoulder of an empty road. No cars or animals he saw, just flat and dirt and landscape made him wonder why he ever chose to run. Weary traveler, can your eyes take it all in? You learn more and more as the wheels of your bicycle spin. Yeah, yeah. Oh, la da 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 da, la da 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 da. We're here with WeHo Reads, about to hear some powerful stories from my boy Danez Smith and Aurielle, yeah. The hegemony of a mighty few, peddling through random territories, guarded closely by some fiercely jealous homies, sitting on their porches, sipping slowly. Their property is owned by large companies and zoned by councilmen who never seem too thin. Yeah.
Hi everyone, Lindsay Horvath, your mayor here. Wanted to welcome you to the WeHo Reads series. On behalf of all of my colleagues in the city of West Hollywood, it is our absolute pleasure to welcome you. This is part of our city's arts division's efforts to engage people in the creative arts and the literary arts. We have so much fun programming, whether it's our city's poet laureate, who brings such fantastic work to the city, whether it's the Little Free Library series or even Drag Queen Story Hour. We find so many ways to bring the literary arts to our community, to people of all ages in all different ways. I want to thank our staff for the work that they do to make this possible, and for anyone and everyone who is participating today and through the whole series. We hope that you enjoy today's programming and that you'll continue to engage with WeHo, the creative city. And thanks once again on behalf of the city of West Hollywood.
Thank you, Mayor, for that wonderful welcome. My name is Mike Che. I'm the City of West Hollywood's Arts Coordinator, and I'd also like to extend a very warm welcome on behalf of the city to our 2021 WeHo Reads Literary Series online. You'll meet our producers, Dare Williams and Amanda Fletcher, in just a moment, and we've got a fantastic season planned for you, including such great authors as Charles Yu, who won the 2020 National Book Award for his book Interior Chinatown, and Miriam Gerpa, whose book Mean was declared by O Magazine one of the best LGBTQ books of all time. You can find out about all the events at weho.org/WeHo Reads, where you can also RSVP to get a reminder before each event. Finally, if you post on social media, which you definitely should, please tag us at WeHo City and at WeHo Arts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and at WeHo Reads on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you so much, and please enjoy tonight's event.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first program for the WeHo Reads 2021 series, Amplifying New Voices, with Danez Smith and Aurielle Marie. Our musical guest tonight is Robbie Pollock. My name is Dare Williams, and I am the series co-producer along with Amanda Fletcher. First, we believe we must respect and uphold the historical and contemporary presence of Indigenous peoples throughout California, especially in the West Hollywood area. We acknowledge that we reside on the historic homeland of Indigenous peoples who were dispossessed of their land. We recognize the Tongva peoples as the traditional land caretakers of Tovongar, situated in the Los Angeles Basin. We acknowledge our presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Tongva people. The series' mission is to amplify the voices of authors whose work we love and admire and want to give the spotlight. We are deeply committed to amplifying underrepresented, marginalized voices and uplifting artists who have been significantly affected by the pandemic. When thinking about this event, I knew right away that I wanted to hang out with and hear Arielle and Denez in conversation. And I'm grateful they said yes. Their work inspires me to look deeper at my craft and my engagement with community and friendship, and to have courage on the page. I've been thinking a lot about friendship and mentorship within the literary community during the past year, and I'm looking forward to the conversation ahead to hear how their work is in concert with each other. A short Q&A will follow discussion, so please use the chat function on the WeHo Arts YouTube channel. Danez Smith is a Black queer pause writer and performer from St. Paul, Minnesota. Denez is the author of Homie, Don't Call Us Dead, winner of the Forward Prize for Best Collection, the Midwest Booksellers' Choice Award, and a finalist for the National Book Award, and Insert Boy, winner of the Kate Tufts Discovery Award, and the Lambda Literary Award for Gay Poetry. They are the recipient of fellowships from Poetry Foundation, the McKnight Foundation, Cave Canem, and the National Endowment for the Arts. Denez's work has been featured widely, including on BuzzFeed, the New York Times, PBS NewsHour, Best American Poetry, Poetry Magazine, the 2020 Pushcart Prize Anthology, and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Denez is a member of the Dark Noise Collective and is the co-host of the podcast Verses with Franny Choi. Most recently, Denez is the recipient of a 2021 United States Artist Award, and Homie was recently nominated for a National Critics Circle Award. When I first encountered Denez's work, I saw something about myself that I hadn't seen on the page before. Denez has taught me to live fiercely and to claim my truth. And when we do that and put it into language, not only do we witness each other, we also practice the most radical version of love, which is to hold each other accountable, and to quote Denez, to love beyond necessary. When we bring our most tender parts out into the sunshine, we not only heal, we thrive. Aurielle Marie is an essayist, poet, and activist hailing from the Deep South. She's received invitations to fellowships from Lambda Literary, Vona Voices, and Tin House. Her work is featured or forthcoming in The Guardian, Allure Magazine, Adroit, Vinyl, and Boat. She's the Lambda Literary 2019 Poetry Emerging Writer in Residence. Arielle writes and speaks about Blackness, bodies, sex, and pop culture from a Black feminist lens. Follow her at Yes, Arielle. Arielle is here tonight to talk about her debut collection, Gumbo Ya Ya. I first encountered Arielle's work reading her poems in Adroit and Vinyl, but I'd like to highlight an excerpt from her essay titled, I Was Afraid to Meet You This Late, the shocking reality of dating other Black women. Because when reading Arielle's work, I'm so interested in the explorations about the body, our vessels, how the body is viewed, how it is othered, how it turns on us, what it does in the hands of another, how it moves through a police state, how it communicates with other bodies, and ultimately what we can do to celebrate our own and other bodies. Arielle writes, there are defeating moments where I am reminded how little love the world has for dark-skinned girls. But by some miracle, after all this time, quote, there is no great sorrow dammed up in my soul, nor lurking behind my eyes, end quote, as Zora Neale Hurston said, as I appraise my body, its deeply hued edges. At least that's what I tell myself every morning in the mirror. I celebrate the soft, dark parts of me, the places I hid from my early lovers, the pieces I try not to recoil from myself. Most days, I do not mind at all. Denez and Arielle, thank you so much for being here, and the screen is yours.
Dare, thank you so much for those loving introductions. Hey, everybody on the YouTube and the chat. We can't see the chat, but somebody is graciously transported some of the messages over here. So it's good to be here with y'all. What up, Daryl? I'm so excited to be here with Arielle tonight, who is just a writer, a poet, a human, an organizer that fills me with so much fire and love and passion and hope as we bless this boat that is Gumbo Ya Ya, coming to us in September. It's funny to hear Dare talk about friendship and mentorship. I think, Arielle, somebody that, I think at a certain point, maybe I was more clearly a mentor or just like an old head a little bit, but we're of a similar enough age where like that sort of difference eradicates itself over time, right? And so maybe what began as a mentorship has quickly become peers. And even if it is a mentorship in some way, I think one of the gifts of that is that as a mentor or being a little older, you get to find folks coming up under you that you want to follow and that teach you so much. And both as a writer, and everything she does or everything they do in the world as a human, I am just so inspired by Arielle all the time. And even back when they were in my workshops that I was teaching, it was such a surprise to meet somebody because I had first seen Arielle read poems as part of Brave New Voices. And I was like, woo, that child is good. What'd you say? What'd you say, baby?
15-year-old, sorry, baby.
Yes, like for real, as a teenager, when I wasn't too much myself beyond that. But you were even shaking up that space. I think about the poems that you and the youth and the Atlanta team was doing back then, and y'all were shaking up things there, just in terms of the topics and the things that y'all were willing to say and the conversations y'all were trying to create with y'all's poems. And so you've always been somebody from your earliest days of me knowing you that has come into spaces and both disrupted the space and what was the norm there, but also called other people to you because you are somebody that people want to be around and want to follow. And I'm so excited for the world to get a taste of that through this book, because so many of us already benefit through your work and your visioning and your imagination so much. And I love you, Arielle. I love you too. All right, so I'm gonna read some poems and then they're gonna read some poems and then we're gonna talk and then we're gonna ask questions and it's gonna be a good old night. I might be a little loopy, so I'm gonna try to keep it together because it's late over here in the Midwest where I'm at. And I'm an old head, but we're gonna work. I'm gonna read this poem first because Arielle looking so good. Looking so good. And this poem makes me feel like I got on a better outfit. It's called Self-Portrait as a 90s R&B video. Lately, I've been opening doors in slow motion and find myself often wearing loose white silks in rooms packed with wind machines and dusk. I have a tendency to be sad near windows, thinking of all the problems I have with my man, with his trifling yellow ass. My man is more a concept than anything. At dinner, I watch red pepper soup spill onto his powder blue button down and ask, why don't you love me anymore? I sit on the couch drinking a wine glass full of milk, cry in ways that frame me gorgeous and fuckable. My girls come over. We light his suits to spark our spliffs. Buy Gucci heels with his credit cards, then stomp out all his shit. My best bitch tells me I need to get over him. Say that he don't even exist, but what she know? I got all this house to walk through, all these gowns to cry on, all these windows to watch the rain. There must be a man in this house who loves me too much to do it well. There's a room in my basement filled with water and gold, and that's it. Water up to my well-managed waist, gold link chains that curl around my ankles like a boa constrictor, or the hands of a man around a neck he used to love to bite. I dip my head in, let even my hair get wet and rise out the water. Hood, Venus, Aphrodite, ghetto god with iced out ropes draped from my head and arms, covering my nipples in il na na, just so I could be a trophy for some award show only niggas know. Every rapper's favorite ex. 1996, given a body and he don't want this. I walk into my foyer because I have a foyer and say, who is she, nigga? I promise the hydrangeas flinch. My man, so fake, he don't exist. My girl was right. The suits we burned were mine. My man's all in my head, and it's a bad head. Tomorrow, after I run and spend some time studying the mirror, I'll burn this whole shit down like left I would, like any good wife. Whatever survives the blaze will be my kingdom. I hope I make it. Cool. Um, I'm gonna read this poem next. I've been thinking about the beauty in violence that like black folks can call out of it sometimes, and violence is violence, and we're gonna allow it to be all the things that is, but I do think that there's a way in which we handle it that is just like so beautiful. I was thinking about it because a friend of mine was telling me about just these communities of black folks who very much believe, like, who are practicing, even in their organizing, the practice of we can take this shit outside real quick and just let hands be hands and get back to the work, and so I was thinking just about about that, just about what it means to be able to step outside with somebody and release that physical engagement or that physical energy and tension, and how that allows you to actually get back to the work sometimes. And I've just been thinking about what I learned from an ass whooping, right? Get my own ass whooped. And so, I've been writing new stuff, and like think about this violence. I always feel like I'm done talking about fighting niggas, but I'm never am. And so here's a poem about fighting niggas, because I've been thinking about this shit. It's called Jumped. There on the ground like dirt or a bird, December froze and May thawed, blood misted, crying for any mother. The boy who called your mama a bitch bleeds our love for you. His wings frozen and fighting our gust of sneakers. We storm him because we love you, and your mama has fed us, and only us is allowed to call her out her name because we know her name. Phyllis. And she bad. And when we bad, she has permissions from our mamas to beat us like we hers. We hers like you hers. You our boy. We pull our punches into that boy like quarters for some bags of flaming hots. Lord, we make him look like a bag of flaming hots. Forgive me, but I don't regret it. And on the real, all these summers later, I miss it. I wish a little bit to gather around a man and stomp in the name of love. Beat what he said about my next to blood back into his glee yellow mouth to make his mouth a sparkling smashed tomato. Really though, Leland, you remember how we beat old boy? Our middle school ritual, his 32nd eternity. Later, I licked his blood off my Nikes and dreamed we were water lilies holding the water down. Two. They were around me like nigga 1, nigga 2, nigga 3, nigga 4, me, nigga 5, nigga 6, nigga 7, nigga 8. And I felt safe. What could be safer than a circle of boys too afraid of killing you to kill you? Fists that broke my ribs also wanted me to live. I praise each one true God for each foot that wasn't a sharp anything, each hand laid upon me like a rude and starving prayer. I had always wanted 8 niggas on me, but not like that. After a while, I started to like it. I leaned into it, unblocked my face. The bottoms of their shoes was the sweet of a well-chewed eraser. I was their promise, their ink. You should have heard them laugh. A language so delicious, I cracked up, cracked grin and all. I didn't know a thing about love until those boys walked away so happy. My heart pouring from my nose. All right. This next one, I miss doing in public because I would say, anybody in here got somebody in your family who you love a lot, but if they was dead, your life would be easier. And then all the queers would raise their hand, make a shout, you know, it'd be great. A secret gaydar that I didn't know that I had found when I first wrote this poem. But it'd be like that sometimes. Yeah, so shout out to anybody who got a family member that you'll miss even while you exhale. Waiting on you to die so I can be myself. 1,000 years of daughters, then me. What else could I have learned to be? Girl after girl after girl, giving herself to herself, one long ring shout name, monarchy of copper and cold shoulders. The body too is a garment. I learned this best from the snake undulating out of her pork rind dress. I crawl out of myself into myself, take refuge where I flee. Once I snatched out my heart like a track and found not a heart, but 2 girls forever playing slide on the porch in my chest. Who knows how they keep time? They could be a single girl, doubled and joined at the hands. Stalin, I want to say something without saying it, but there's no time. I'm waiting for a few folks I love dearly to die so I can be myself. Please, don't make me say who. Bitch, the garments I'd buy if my baby wasn't alive. If they woke up at their wake, they might not recognize that woman in the front making all that noise. This next poem I wrote after or just thinking about Black trans women in America. I forget, the thing about writing elegies is that if you don't write it down, they lose it and they kind of get lost in the endless repetition of lives that are taken from us because of lack of resources, injustice, pure hatred that existed in the world. But I'm thinking, I know there was a lot of discussion about a particular black trans woman online today, and I was just seeing so much. I still don't know what the hell's going on with that story, but I've been thinking about how our sisters need safety. And so I'll read this poem. Think about that. The fat one with the switch. Stare so long, they gotta growl faggot to justify it. F sound an excuse to bite they lips. The T word just to taste. Dicks hard as consonants and dickies, question mark thick, you fuck they head up. Damn any desire that sneaks you into laundry rooms and strikes you in the street out of fear of itself. They disrupt themselves with your body and call it your fault, bury you in night, but dark is temporary dirt, cheap earth. With the sun comes the news of you. Another. I wanted to write an ode. It still could be. But first, some silence for the girls. Hurried into after, cause some dude felt his blood rush on sight, and it was the first time he knew he had blood. Not even the razor taught him that. Not his daughter's birth, not his clotted mammy, not Christ. Just like a man, he saw God, and instinct told him, kill it. Whew. Fuck these niggas 2021. Okay, where we at? Okay, I'm gonna do this last long poem to finish this off. Cause I think, you know, at the end of the day, whether it be by justice or by healing, I do think that love is one of our most powerful inventions and tools to lean on. And I hope to not say that in a corny way. But I mean to say that, like, you know, even when we really out here, that love is what sustains us in them trenches, right? And so, and it's also one of my favorite things about being Black, I think, is the way Black people love and how good we are at it, right? And so, you know, thinking about Black History Month, Black History 365, thank you, McDonald's. Thinking about that, I want to end on some Black love. Not everybody that is loved in this poem is Black, but a great many of them are niggas. And there's very niggerish things in this poem, like Medea and skins. And so I'm gonna read it, you know, because it makes me smile thinking about people I love. And we're about to hear one of the people I love the mostest, one of the poets whose poems I love the mostest, Arielle, after this one. So I'm gonna read this last poem and get out the way. Thank y'all for listening. Acknowledgements. 1. You saved me half a bag of skins. The hard parts, my fave, dusted orange with hot. 1. You say we can't go to the bar because you're taking your braids out. I come over. We watch Medea while we pull you from you. 1. You make us tacos with the shells I like and you don't. 1. I get too drunk at a party. You scoop my pizza from the sink with a solo cup. All that red. 1. You in the morning, bong water, grin, wet chin. 1. Excuse me. You in the morning. You in the lawless dark, laughing like a room of women laugh at a man who thinks his knowledge is knowledge. 1. I text you and you say, I was about to text you, bitch. 1. You cook pork chops the same way I do. Our families in another city go to the same church. 1. You rolling a blunt, holding your son is a Mecca. 1. You invite me out for drag queens the night I thought to finally. 1. You pull over in Mississippi so I can walk a road my grandfather bled on. One, you gave me a stone turtle. It held your palm scent for a week. One, you request like a demand. Make me some of that mango cornbread. I cut the fruit, measure the honey. One, I call your mama, mama. One, you and you and you and you go in on a dildo for my birthday. You name it, Drake. You know me. I got to update that poem because Drake has become more problematic since the draft of that poem, and it's no longer appropriate to really thirst over him. And so, you know, back in 2016, I still wanted to suck his dick. Okay, anyways. One, a year with you in that dirty house with that cracked out cat was a good year. One, at the function, I feel myself splitting into too many rooms of static. You touch my hand, and there I am. One, do you want to be best friends? A box for yes, a box for maybe yes. One, did our grandmothers flee the fields of embers so we could find each other here? Friend, you are the war's gentle consequence. One, I am the prison that turns to rain in your hands. One, you at my door the night my father leapt beyond what we know. One, the branches of silence stay heavy with your petal. One, I smell like the milk of whatever beast, you smell like the milk of whatever beast I am. One, your poop is news, your fart is news, your gross body, my favorite bop. One, you drunk as an uncle making all kinds of nonsense sense. I fluent the language between your words. One, and when we fight, not a ring, but a room with no exit. We spill the blood and bandage the wound, clean the cuts with tongues. One, if luck calls your name, we split the pot. If you wither, surely I rot. One, we hate the same people. Say nigga please with the same mouth. One, and before we were messy flesh, I'm sure we were the same dust. One, everywhere you are is a church, and I am the pastor, the deacons, the mothers fainting at the altar. One, as long as I am a fact to you, death can do with me what she wants. One, my body, water. Your body, a trail of hands carrying the river to the sea. One, I ink your name into my chest to fasten what is already there. One, you made coming out, coming in from the storm. One, I would love you even if you killed God. One, you are the storm I bloody hills for. One, you love me despite the history of my hands, their mangled confession. One, God bless you who screens my nudes, drafts my breakup texts. One, you are the drug that knocks the birds from my heart. One, oh, the horrid friends that were just ships harboring me to you. One, and how many times have you loved me without my asking? How often have I loved a thing because you loved it, including me? One, with your ugly ass. One, at the end of the world, let there be you. One, my world. All right, y'all. Thank you. Text your friends. Tell your niggas you love them. And without further ado, Atlanta's very own by spending a little time in Oakland, kicking it in Alabama, wherever she go, wherever they go, they contain magnitudes and they make noise. They are one of your favorite poets. That's why you're here tonight. They are gonna be one of your favorite poets. That's what you'll remember after tonight if they ain't already. My motherfucking friend, they look good tonight. Look at these hot cross bun braids. We love it. They're gonna wow us. Everybody give it up for Aurielle Marie.
Oh, friend. You just don't know how much of a treasure you are. My God, Denez, thank you. And thank you. I'm not, I said I wasn't gonna cry. So I'm not going to do that, at least not this early in the evening.
Yeah, not yet.
But yeah, that poem always gets me because it's just it's so open, and I think it's actually very incredibly appropriate for me to read this poem because you argue with me about whether or not this poem is an after for that poem, and I think I'm right, so I'm gonna read it.
That thing where like, I'll take the after because it's inspiration, but you really wrote the shit out this poem and did your own things. But go on ahead.
We're continuing. So yeah, I said I was only going to read poems that I haven't read out loud from the book tonight to push myself, and I can't not read this one because it's one of my faves. And the poem is called Psalm, in which I demand a new name for my kin, and it is after goddamn Danez Smith. Brandy, Nautica, Raquel, Kadeja, Bridget, Simone, Maisha, Rain, Shari, Centura, Sophia, Kiki, Tiana, Mickey, Shell, Imani, Kelsey, Brandolyn, Isis, and all my girls with an X or without. I swear on my mother's laugh, friend, don't cut it. You caught a bitch in her early nude, paper thin psalms sharpened into blades on her mother's lawn. What a mess. Yet you loved her fiercely. Not sister, but salvation of noise. Your broke ass hands, the arithmetic of 5 points, the library dust in your bones, perhaps a way to sing my favorite poem over a cliff, my dark, bloody muse, my nigga. I love you in the worst way. I mouth pomegranate and gummy bliss, and the kernels fall like manna into your lap. I milk honeysuckle, and your belly swells with child. My love, you are mine. How do I say it plain? Your youngest born is another me, and I don't say I'm sorry. Your blood beneath his skin and my teeth in his mouth. You spit and I blush into chlorine at Mosley Park. Not homegirl, but my bluest magic. Not homegirl, but my North Star. The wicked Sunday morning song I skied from my mother's hair like hot oil. When we feast in your kitchen, we commune, bitch. You my whole lyric. And I said it enough that you love like an orange. I pull you from the vine and weep at how many times you can have in my palm and not slip away. Not bitch, but bitch, you tender me. You give me better language for my broken. What's the word? My dog. You give me the gutter. My dog, you give me the gutter. Squad as in, I'll never turn your love into a hymn. Squad as in, I'll never pretend to fix my love into a psalm. A rope of braid at my navel, you. The whole soup, you. The root of me, my solemn chew. My nigga, I love you, the gristle. I love you, the bone splinter. I love you, the gum ache. I love you, the jigsaw sweat, the deep sigh, the belly slick, the muscle sprint from sun to dusk. You, the star I follow to rid myself, the Mason Dixon. I line you up over my father's toilet and I cut. When I bleed, you gather my family to pray. When I pray, you beckon my mother's God to listen. My God, listen, my best friend, I love you, and I am alive to witness you beat this great iteration, this great selfishness. Bitch, you, my, this great majestic selfishness. My mama say she got 12 kids and birthed only 3, and the world was formed in how many days? I wish that same multiplication on the thick-headed skulls of our young, our legion of fool-ass saints, our children linked at the hip of their glory, tethered somehow just like this here, long after we dead.
Woo! Wow.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna read this weird little poem. Shout out to all of the workshops that Franny Choi facilitates that gets you into the strangest place in your head. Yeah. Listen, I've released the fish back into the ocean. In his mouth, one hook and my earliest memory. I named the fish after my father and did not kill him. See me in all my forgiving glory. The fish, gill slit and sly, slip-skinned and slutty, my father wearing another beast's hide. I snuck an oyster blade into its eye, and that was all. I am not exempt at attempts at blind rage. I am indeed my father's daughter. a fisherman's muse, a flounder's second chance at swim. If there was a storm, I would have taken it as a sign, but the natural order ain't equipped for revenge. Nah, the sky was bursting with only the possibility of rain, and the fish had my father's beautiful eyes. So away he went, half blind and still unable to speak my name across the bar I caught him in, tangled up between the holes of a net or a woman who was not my mother. I shouldn't abandon the metaphor for your sake, but my father was a promiscuous man, though I love him. And I don't know if any fish has left his young to starve or fall victim to the vacuum of a whale's mouth. Besides, here is a trout or a perch or a snapper maybe, his fin flecked toward my blade, scales illuminate in the sun. And fuck, if I'm trying not to be a different breed of man, if I'm trying not to improve upon my paternal line, I am empathetic enough to the aquatic, more than I am given credit for. I have not done onto a scaled belly what has been done onto mine. I hate a thing without gutting it. I can love a father and never lie about what I do with my knife when he leaves. Oh, keeping it on going. Such strange poems. We're just gonna keep going with strange poems. I did this thing, I always do this thing actually, where I don't choose the poems before the reading. And I'm always like, this feels wrong, I can't do it. And then it comes time for the reading and I'm like, okay, bitch. You gotta choose your poems ahead of time. Will she ever? We don't know. But because it is also on my mind today, like you were saying, is about Black trans women in the world, and because this work is dealing with gender and Blackness and all this other weird shit, I'm gonna read Gumbo Ya Ya, the title poem, or parts of it. The original metric for rigor was a single torso of wood made boat, stuffed full of our mothers and our sons. No matter, it was only our ending. It is how this story begins. Every poem either breathes it or buries it. Don't worry, I am not here to make a citizen's arrest. I don't believe in the jails or the systems. I don't believe in form, but believe in the freedom of breaking. This is a simple poem about criticality. I promise, the pure animal of labor or honest hustle, what it takes to turn a woman into a mule and then a man and then a match. Heifer was my mother's name before she made me. My mother was no thief, though the product of it. My mama gave birth to marauders. My mother came here to cash this speech in for fresh vegetables, and I was only allotted my time. I was instructed to say thank you, and gratitude is tricky, man. I'd like to thank the Academy for carving open my head. I'd like to thank the Academy for splitting my tongue in three. I recognize this work all gristle. Thank you, America, for stealing the meat. What is the pronunciation of my name? This shit hard and it fly about as far as I can throw my pen. My mouth slip and I rig my jaw into chrome. Spinners, the asphalt melts and I chew tobacco. That first summer is where we left it out to dry, and I never stutter lest we talk in clarity. I say I write gully and I mean I write wings back into birds. At the pushy march, the women was bitches. My bitches march. Some of them without pussies. Some of my bitches ain't just like that. The woman held their purses in the down bins of their mouths away from us. They kept their children and the keys to the city, their pussies like fists. Their backs turned, refusing to meet our eyes, and all the names they shouted were our names. All the girls they chanted was our girls. Mercedes Successful, Tatiana, Maya, Sandra, Ayanna Stanley's sweet 70-year-old body, Rakia Boyd and her skull hole, Tanisha, Shelley Frey, Alexia Christian, her hands with more wounds than a certain Messiah, Natasha McKenna, Tarika Wilson, Kayla Moore, Miriam Carey. We sang Chantel Davis like an aria and Kendra James too. Tawana Johnson's, we whispered like a secret, and oh, our girls, our girls, our girls, oh, our girls, ours. Despite them singing my name like a war song, they treated me like a pauper. Their money, my blood, they knit and I bled. They chanted and our bodies stretched for miles, foot by hand. All right. I'm gonna read me another one of these, and then we might move it on to some chitty chat. Girl Gospel 1, Marigold. Okay, yeah, I got some cheddar chompers. So what? I'm young mouth, but I smell good. I love me until the very tooth of the thing. My crooked mouth of daffodil enamel. School buses biting half of a yellow sun. Yeah, I heard it. Yellow, and I guess I still sing because I am a bird, or perhaps it's God. My eye rests upon my own self. Clocking. I be as sure as a second hand. Me call me metronome, and I masturbate at my mother's heels when I feel good. Laugh the point of my thumb into the softest of my full parts. Ooh, I love me so dangerous. I could live forever just like this here, a hazard in heels, naked and sprawl, wet with sin, black as in what it means to touch my belly and rejoice. Oh God, oh me, oh God, me, oh yes, damn, I'm slick. Damn, I spill the thick of me, and it is not blood. I'll say it as many times as I see fit. Oh, the possibilities of feeding my ego. Thank you for giving a poet something to hunger after, a place to kick off her shoes. I protest in the tradition of maternal poetics, my hand holding tight my other hand between my thighs. Yes, this here is a freedom song. I know not why a cage thing would ever say my name.
Woo! You was a bad nigga. You was a bad nigga. Let me tell you, boy. And I wear my mama's heels and masturbate when I feel good. God damn it.
I did used to wear heels though. I used to get in trouble. Them heels jacked in my backpack on the way to school every day. Every day.
So you can jack. Exactly. Amen. Yeah. Did wear bottoms though? Did mama have a good taste though? Mama had some heels, I'm assuming.
You know, mama had 2000s taste. I wouldn't carry them with me now, but at the time it was popping.
Nobody would ever wear anything that we would wear in the 2000s.
The early odds.
The only thing I would do now is maybe put a belt around a tall tee. I could probably still rock that.
Okay, yeah, with a mini skirt.
Yeah, it's a dress moment. You know, now that I'm on a different place on the gender spectrum than I was back when I was out here trying to look like Nelly and Jay-Z and shit.
Yeah. Okay. So tall tee and belt. We're gonna bring it back. I'm cool.
We're gonna bring it back. Yeah, you go get some of your mama's old heels, and then we're gonna bring all this back.
I love it.
All right, boo. Well, I guess first things first. You were talking about it a little bit, but I guess how does it feel to have Gumbo Ya Ya almost out in the world? This is like sort of a pre-book release type event, I guess. You think about it.
Very like, it's on the way. Surprise.
Yeah, it's very much a y'all niggas need to know.
I'm mad at it.
There's been quite the journey for this one. Yeah, how does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, I think I wanna be like all the way in my excitement bag, and I am, and I'm so looking forward to just holding the little baby in my hand, and what a way to enter the world with the just so grateful to the Kaveh Khanum Poetry Prize and Douglas Kearney, and I think like I feel exhaustingly excited. I think that's the word. It's like, woo, woo, woo. But it's only because, and I think, you've been there on this journey from the very beginning. This book has had a lot of trials and tribulations, we're gonna call them. And I think, you know, I've grown so much with Gumbo Ya Ya. I've worked on this book for 6 years. And it's become a whole different, she a new bitch. She a different bitch than she was, you know, in 2018. And it's exciting to see a manifestation of a thing that I didn't even know I was working toward, which is just, it's gratifying as a writer, I think, to work and then to believe in the work and to persist through discomfort and come to such a cute little coming out party.
Amen. Actually, that's I wanted to ask you. You mentioned, you know, she's a different bitch now. The book. I want to know, you know, because it's been Gumbo Ya Ya, I think, almost the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, even though the guts have changed so much.
Yeah.
How if you could just narrate that a little bit for us, how is the book that you sought out to write different from the book that we're getting? And if you could take us through, were there any moments or maybe other works, whether poetry or other things that corrected your course and showed you that you were doing something else?
Yeah, I think, and I'm just gonna be sending you lots of compliments and adoration this whole time, because I think the first time that I realized I was working towards writing a collection was when we were together in Philly at Vonna Voices, and you were like, so you're writing a book? And I was like, I don't think so. And at that point, I mean, I think that was like 2016 or something like that. And at that point, I think I was utilizing poetry the way that I did when I was a slam poet, which was to kind of like archive experiences and, you know, kind of have a place to point back to, like, yes, this happened, and yes, I experienced that, whether it was, you know, on the social justice side of things or interpersonal experiences. And so from the beginning, Gumbo Ya Ya was a place to sort of like hold on to all of these like familial experiences, things I overheard sitting in my, you know, my aunt's house or my grandma's house, or, you know, conversations I had with, you know, people from the whole hometown, the day ones. And the poems required me to be, you know, more critical, because I think about, I mean, maybe like a year or two after kind of starting to take the collection more seriously, I realized that I was being lazy in the sense that I wasn't being as critical with poems as I was with my community organizing. As an organizer, I'm a relentless researcher. I'm always, you know, involved in like, you know, workshops, and it's a skill and a privilege to be someone who does work on behalf of, or, you know, in service of my community. And I had to get a politic around being a poet. And so how that impacted the book was I had to realize that as much as the poem is about me, when you let it out into the world, it's a work for the world. And what responsibility then do I have to the people who I am accountable to connect my own experiences to theirs, and do the same work that I would require of myself if I was in a you know, community organizing space. And so from there bloomed some, you know, I think it just became more about, you know, the lineage of Afro-Creole traditional spirit and spiritual traditions, and, you know, ancestral work, and historical context against which that I write. So a lot more historical context and connections came into play with the book. And now it's a more full-bodied, you know, for lack of a better word, soup. It's more of a, what I realized that I was writing was about intersectionality and the intersections at which I sit, which is, you know, the meeting of gender and race, class, and the experiences as a poet and organizer. And Gumbo Ya Ya doesn't try to chew through those and come to a conclusion about the intersections, because like me, the intersections are ongoing. But it forces the reader to sit with all of those complications, all of those, those things that are sometimes in dissonance. And yeah, that's the book.
So let's talk about the gumbo of it. Okay, so who are the three Black queer, Black femme, or just Black folks, ancestors who are the main ingredients, let's say, in the Ya Ya gumbo?
Oh shit. Okay.
Hey, gumbo's about everything coming together and melding, right? It's that salt, So who the sausage, who the shrimp?
I think in the mix of this book, June Jordan is one of the mixes. I think, not funnily enough, I mean, like all the conversations that I've had with folks like Deshaun Harrison and Hunter Ashley, who are community organizers, thinkers, writers, and T and all these other folks who are kind of a part of my organizing cadre. Danez Smith, and do I get one more? I think I do a lot of callback to the words of Mama Louisa Tish, who wrote this book called Jambalaya about conjure and African traditional religions. That has kind of been a map for me as a person trying to ground myself in sort of a spiritual practice while I'm being a nigga in the world.
Word, that's beautiful, baby. Yeah. Thank you, Arielle. I see we're starting to get some questions from the audience coming in, so maybe now is a good time to transition there. Maybe now is a good time for us to go ahead and switch to the next part of the Q&A.
Sure. Thank you so much for both being here and reading and being in conversation. Really exciting. Yeah, so I wanted to ask Arielle, when did you realize that a book was emerging, and did that change the course of the work? Meaning, did you then start to write towards a collection? And then how did that change? Oh, I'm writing towards a collection now versus these poems might just be a collection.
Yeah, I think I started to realize that there was a collection emerging in 2016. And I realized that there were central themes that were kind of coming up in these poems, and poems are starting to talk to one another. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I worked incredibly hard to make a body of work thematic in a way that I think maybe wasn't conducive to my own poetic voice and freedom of expression on the page. And I think the thing that I wish I had more access to at that point was hearing from other people about their first book process. Because at the time what I was doing was, okay, so this is a book about being a Black girl. Black girl poem, let's go. And what that did was all of the things, there's no way to calibrate yourself against what you think the reader is going to try and, is going to expect from you as a writer. I'm getting frustrated because I'm like, oh, I wanted so badly to write a thing that was good about Black girls. And what I needed to let go of that to write a book that was about Black girls with an X, because I needed to let go of, I had to confront and kind of criticize my own limitations on what Black girl poems look like because of my introduction to the world of Black poetics. And so I think what was the moment where I was able to take a breath and write a book that was different from the first iterations of Gumbo Ya Ya was when I let go of writing Black girl poems according to the the white gaze. I don't know why I'm trying not to say white. But when I let go of white gaze, when I let go of the idea that that I wanted someone to be able to read a poem and tell that I was writing about Black girls or towards Black girls. And when I just found the way that I write to myself and to my niggas, the book became a whole different project, because I don't have to work hard to to talk to my folks. It is inherent, and it's the thing that's kept me alive. And so the thing that has kept me alive is the only instinct that I need. You pick up a little form along the way, pick up a little, you start reading a couple books, and that has been invaluable. But the instinct is the folks in the communities who are at the core of who I am. I don't even know if that answered your question. I'm very nervous.
Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So this is a question. Can you both talk about what it means to shift your person and your writing and your careers online, and what that means, good or bad?
I think it's been rough for all creatives right across the genres and the fields to shift online, just like I think it's been tough for all humans to sort of shift the person online as well. I think there have been, a mix of responses from institutions, right? Both from crap to okay. And it's also been wonderful to see great efforts from mutual aid. I'm thinking about what Luther Hughes did with the Shade Arts Literary Fund, which gave a lot of money to QT-POC artists across the land. What Arielle did with the quarantine reading series, which was great because I thought it was a space that did what I think we lost when we lost physical readings, was the spaces where you not only have community, but where you happen upon new writers as well. I've been thinking about how hard it is to maybe be an emerging writer in this time, right? Because I think about, it's already so hard, I think in a saturated, very saturated field, to be seen that now that everything's digital, right? How many people are we losing? Are we forgetting about? Are we missing? Are falling through the cracks? And what I loved about the quarantine reading series was that it was paired with these people that were the name drawers, right? But then even myself, I found a lot of new poets to love in that reading series, even if what grabbed me, right, was somebody else. Or what got me there, let's say. But the funny part is thinking about writing. My writing has not actually shifted online. I think if anything, the quarantine has made me more analog in the things I reach for. And so I've actually filled up a lot more notebooks than I have in past years because I've been sort of adverse to writing on the computer since I already have to spend so much time there. So most of my new drafts in the last year have actually been either written in a notebook or the phone app, which seems a little bit more low stakes than Microsoft Word for me. And I'm actually really grateful for that because I think it's brought a new energy to the writing. But in terms of the living, yeah, I'm fine, but I think, I'm sick of Zoom like everybody else. But I've been thinking about, but just, I think there's a lot of questions that we can continue to ask ourselves as a community, because I think a lot of shit was exposed about the fuckness of the gig economy, right, that we really can't return to. And so, so just thinking about the lives of writers out here and how we can be better inside of this shit and after.
And allow me to not lie to y'all. I am the extrovert's extrovert. I am so extroverted that I strike up conversations with the electricians who come to service our home. Me and quarantine, we got a little beef. We fighting. It's on site when I see her outdoors. But I think what the quarantine did allow me to do was just Bob the Builder did. I did it myself. I was like, listen, we need some space. I miss my friends, and people are really struggling financially because we don't have access to the same, gigs that we depend on to pay our bills. And the quarantine reading series sprouted out of that, which saved my life. And I shout that from the rooftops. I didn't mean to do it for me, but hey, I did it for me. And just being able to gather every other month with people who I respect, who I love, who I've been online friends with for so long that I haven't actually ever seen their face, and I didn't realize it until I saw their face. That was just really precious, and just such a, you know, because you don't realize when you go to the weekly, you know, open mic up the street how tender it is to check in on the same people that you see every week. If you don't see them for a couple weeks and you ask them like, how you doing? And they tell you about you know, some trouble they got into. Like those are the interactions that really create intimacy. And so I think what we've lost over the past year is intimacy with our kindred folk and new niggas who we would come across in the world. And so I've been looking for those places online. And that I want that more than I am tired of Zoom. And so what Luther's doing, what other authors are doing. I'm thinking about Portia O and Boston with the home reading series, like those little moments to build intimacy in any way that we can get it. I am like sucking it in. I'm like, please, more every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think too, as like readers and performers, it's a struggle because with Zoom or even, you know, IG or anything like that, everyone is front row. You know, there's no like, and then there's no energy. So like, I like to read to the person in the back of the room, and that's not possible, you know, and that we're using conferencing software to try to connect emotionally. And that's really challenging. And I'm very interested also in just like creating these spaces where, yeah, like I miss going to like an open mic in a neighborhood and then having that place be a place of respite for someone who needs to find it, you know, wandering through the city. That's kind of how I grew up. So
there's also no place in the online sphere, in the online gig, to shit talk in the back. We value shit talking in the back, which is why in the quarantine reading series, I'm always like, if you don't talk your shit in this chat, what are we even here for?
Right.
Y'all on YouTube, if y'all not talking trash in the chat, like, are you even here?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Or flirting. Like I can't flirt in the hallway of like whatever space we're reading poems in. It's really hard. or cruising, you know, just like getting someone's attention.
I can't do that.
You ain't never went out to a drink.
There are online spaces for that. Could Arielle talk about book having a politic? Is this about purpose? Does it limit, inform, constrain the poem you write? When do things become problematic? Struggling with this myself.
Oh, babes, so the world is problematic. So this whole thing is, you know, we can't escape being problematic because we all have identities that are privileged identities. And so escaping being problematic is just, it's futile. Accept it, learn out loud, and keep it pushing, and be held accountable when you being problematic. But so, you know, all of the work in the world that I want to do is toward Black liberation and toward the achievement of equity, specifically that centers Black folks, because I believe that when Black folks are centered, we all get more free, and that's an anti-racist politic. And so I struggle to be a good scholar and a good steward of these ideas. And that has been, I think it has only enhanced my writing. I think that what it forces me to do is figure out direct and lyrical and imaginative and visionary ways to communicate to my audience. I think that when I'm trying to talk specifically to Black folks, I have to figure out how to maneuver that on the page, and that expands form for me. It expands the shape of a poem for me. I think that using anti-racism, using Black liberation as a discipline makes me a better writer, because it makes me a more critical reader, not just of Black folks, but of everything, because I can replicate what what I think is most, not empowering, but most acknowledging of the people and the communities that I am accountable to. And I think it makes me a more accountable writer as well, because I don't want to ever write something that contributes to the harm of the communities on the margins. And so I think I talk a lot on Twitter, and when I had a media series, LO2 Cities, I talk a lot about like learning out loud, and just if I write something or if I put something out into the world that, is harmful or contributes to that harm, I think it only makes me better if I'm open to critique of the content of that writing. And I think it's my responsibility because my work started as an organizer, and I know how words impact in real time the communities on the margins. And so it's not purpose, because my purpose is to be a writer. But the politic, I think, is if you think about the purpose as the roots, the politic is the trunk, and the poems and the essays are the leaves. I don't know if that metaphor holds up, but let's go with it for now. And that's the tree of the work. And my hope is to get as rooted and branch as far as I can. And I'm gonna keep trying until I'm about this bitch.
Yeah, learning out loud. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So I want to be mindful of the time. So I'm gonna read one more question, and this is for both of you. How do you stop second guessing everything that you write?
Well, you can't second guess all of it, right?
Yeah.
Not like some of your shit, Well, one, I think I'll say save it for the second draft. Never get in the way of at least trying something. So if that inner saboteur is something that is at the moment at least hard to get to quiet down, then I would make a deal with yourself to save that judgmental voice for at least after the first draft, right? Because the worst thing that ever happened after a first draft is that it sucked and you forgot about it. The best thing that ever happened was it started you along a new journey. So just give it that much of a try. I think it's important for us to like hype ourselves up, right? I think we can do that by journaling, take some time to like write a fake artist statement. I know enough grants are always asking us to do that shit. But figure like if you haven't done that before, like take a minute to like talk shit about your own art and the things that you enjoy, that you think you do well, the ways in which you surprise yourself. Do some journaling around that, right? Make a list of your 5 favorite poems of yourself. Ask your friends which one of your poems are their favorites, right? Which lines have stuck with them, just as a way to sort of hear your own good shit back to you, right? And I think we can gloat in that. I think it became easier to edit myself and not sabotage myself the more I allowed the possibility that I was halfway decent at a poem to sneak into my psyche. And that just came with a lot of time and trust. But it also came with like some therapy work of like having to let go of the thing that wanted to say that everything I put my hands on was trash. And I actually had to make space for the possibility that something that I cared about that pushed me might be worth a value. I think that's a different journey for each and every one of us, but I think we all got to get to that space where we can look at our work with a critical eye and not with a damning eye. I wish whoever asked that question, I hope the best for you. But just make some list about how good of a poet you are first. That's fine. Advice.
Yes, and to everything that Danez said, which are like tangible practices to work on that inner compass about your own work. And I don't want to answer this question because the truth of the matter is I'm still working on it. And I think I'm not, I was just talking about being nervous right before this thing started and they asked me to be here. I'm second guessing the work right before I open my mouth to tell you what I'm about to write about, what I'm about to read. And I think that's okay because it doesn't stop me from trying it and doing it. And I think that, when I was on Verses with Denez, and I want to say Danny, your name and Franny's mixed, Denez, but with you and Franny, I was like, the worst that I can do is fall and scrape my knee. The worst that anybody can tell me is no. And it's going to sting for a second. And then we on to the next. And it doesn't always have to be that there's a second option or another possibility. It could just be we moving from the known into the unknown, which is what happened when, I ended up pulling my book from my former publisher. I had no other prospects. There was nothing there. And I second guessed it for months. Like, is this what I want to do? Can I be a writer? Is this just confirmation that I'm a shit writer, right? Like what's my mama gonna say when I tell her, oh, I ain't got a book no more, or my grandmama, right? Who was so proud of me. And I had to do it anyways because I had to try. I had to try. And, not to toot my own horn, but I pulled my book. And then 2 years later, Gumbo Ya Ya won one of the largest prizes for Black writers. And I'm only saying that out loud. That's the only way that I can say that out loud is when I'm saying it to someone else so that they can believe in themselves a little bit more. Because there's so many things that contribute to us not believing in ourselves and in our work. And I don't think, necessarily I gotta believe in my work to be a badass writer. I can just be audacious. I can be audacious until I believe in my work. And when I get there, I'll tweet about it. But I'm not there yet. But I'm gonna put myself out there. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you both of you for being here. I just want to remind everyone that WeHo Reads is partnering with Book Soup. So book sales, and we highly encourage you to buy Denez books and pre-order Arielle's. Pre-orders are very important, and to please support your local brick and mortar. Links to purchase books are on the Eventbrite YouTube pages and will be shared in the chat. WeHo Reads is a celebrated literary series presenting new and noteworthy authors of interest to the West Hollywood community. WeHo Reads is presented by the City of West Hollywood's Art Division. For more details on full program and events coming up, please visit weho.org/WeHo Reads. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I know it's getting late over there, so thank you again, and thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dare, for having us. Arielle, so excited for your book to be into the world. I can't wait. Everybody on YouTube, want to pre-order that shit right the fuck now.
Yeah, thank you, Nez, for always having my back. I won't cry about how much I love you and grateful for you until like the actual launch. But just know that I'm grateful for you always, and grateful for this platform to be up with you, talking shit and kicking it. And yeah, you the best. Thank you. And
yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, WeHo. I miss your fast and easy queers. Hopefully, I'll be topping y'all again soon.
Y'all some brave people. Y'all made me pull out my most painful, vulnerable song. Don't ever tell anyone that you dance in your cell, that sometimes you hug yourself. Don't ever tell that it sucks to feel fear, and it's there all the time, and it's hard to do well when you try to deny. Like the power of prayer or a gnat in your eye, you can fix with your fist what you can't with your mind. And we built pyramids, but we let nothing slide. And you might know we're all the same, but don't you ever tell. Don't ever tell how you searched for your pops, how you ran for your life, chased around the block. Too many to fight in the park after dark. It's just some blurry sight and a tiny mark. You promised never to tell about the very first time, all nervous and brave. Try and be quiet and hide. Where's the Planned Parenthood? 350 to drop. She looks at you full of shame, and you just want it to stop. Like the power of prayer or a gnat in your eye, all the hurt you contain, burning flames in your mind. You broke out the lane and you left them behind. And you might know we're all the same, but don't you ever tell. Don't ever tell. Can't remember his name. Young Brooklyn kids playing ghetto games. You forgot the spot on New Lots where they blew out his brains. Like the power of prayer or a gnat in your eye, all the hurt you contain, burning flames in your mind. Broke out the lane and you left them behind. And you might know we're all the same, but don't you ever tell. Thank you, Denez and Arielle. Every time you open up, you feel the pain a razor cut. Get your defenses up, learn to act tough. Every time you open up, you feel the pain a razor cut. Get your defenses up, act tough. Every time you open up, you feel the pain a razor cut. Get your defenses up, learn to act tough. Every time you open up, you feel the pain a razor cut. Get your defenses up, act tough. Can available? Can you be available?